Daniel Carter had always believed the past stayed where you left it. He was wrong. 25 years earlier, when he was 19, Daniel was reckless, charming, and convinced life would always give him another chance. He fell into a passionate relationship with Claire Wilson, a girl who loved him with a frightening intensity. Claire was the kind of person who held on tightly to everything she cared about. When she discovered she was pregnant, she believed it was the beginning of their forever. Daniel believed it was the end of his freedom. The argument they had the night he left became something Claire replayed thousands of times. "You're just scared," she told him, tears running down her face. "I'm not ready," Daniel replied. "You'll regret this." At the time, Daniel thought she was trying to manipulate him. Years later, he wondered if she had simply known him better than he knew himself. Claire gave birth to a baby girl, Emily. She raised her with the help of her sister, Sarah, who became the one stable person in Emily's life. Sarah was everything Claire wasn't. Calm, practical, patient. She watched her sister spiral deeper into an obsession with Daniel Carter. Claire searched for him online. She followed his career. She collected old photographs. She convinced herself that one day he would return and realize they were meant to be. But Daniel never returned. He moved away. He built a life. And eventually he met someone else. Daniel was 32 when he met Hannah Parker. She was completely different from Claire. Hannah laughed loudly, argued passionately, and never allowed anyone to make decisions for her. Their first meeting was a disaster. Daniel spilled coffee over her coat. "You have got to be joking," Hannah said, looking down. "I'm sorry. That's not a very convincing apology. It's the best one I have." She smiled despite herself. "You're lucky I'm in a good mood. I'm lucky you're not throwing the coffee back." I considered it. That was the moment Daniel knew she was different. Hannah did not need him. She chose him. Their relationship grew slowly. They bought a house, got married, and eventually welcomed a son, Oliver. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt like he had finally become the man he should have been. But somewhere else, Claire Wilson was still trapped in the past. Emily grew up knowing her mother was hurt. She knew Daniel Carter was a name that could change the atmosphere in a room. She knew never to ask too many questions. As Emily became an adult, Claire's mental health deteriorated. Her obsession consumed her. She became convinced Daniel's new family had stolen the life that belonged to her. Eventually, after a series of frightening incidents, Claire was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. Sarah took responsibility for Emily. "You deserve a normal life," Sarah told her niece. Emily looked at her sadly. "You know Mom never had one." Sarah didn't answer, because she knew. Years later, Emily died suddenly, leaving behind her closest friend, Lucy Bennett. Lucy had been like family, and Sarah refused to let her fall apart. Oliver Carter grew up hearing stories about his father's past, but never the full truth. Daniel avoided talking about Claire. Some secrets seemed kinder left buried. Oliver became a confident young man. He was intelligent, funny, and had inherited his father's ability to charm people. Then he met Ava Wilson. The first thing Oliver noticed was her eyes. The second thing he noticed was that she looked like she was carrying 1,000 secrets. Ava was mysterious, guarded, and impossible to understand. "You always look like you're about to disappear," Oliver told her. "Maybe I am." "Why?" "Because people always leave eventually." Oliver didn't know why that sentence affected him. He didn't know that Ava was connected to the one person who had shaped his father's entire life. Ava was Lucy Bennett's best friend. And Lucy was Emily's best friend, the daughter of the woman who hated his father. The first time Oliver met Sarah, he was nervous. Lucy had invited him to dinner, and Sarah had become like a second mother to her after Emily's death. Sarah opened the door. "Oliver." "Yes." She stared at him. For a moment, she looked terrified. "You're Daniel's son." Oliver frowned. "Yes. Is that a problem?" "No. Sorry. You just look like someone I used to know." During dinner, things became awkward when Lucy mentioned Ava. "She's always been trouble," Lucy joked. Oliver smiled. I don't think Ava is trouble. Sarah looked confused. Ava? Yes. She laughed suddenly. Oh my goodness. I thought you meant Emily. Everyone went silent. Oliver blinked. Emily? Sarah covered her mouth. No, no. Forget I said that. Lucy burst out laughing. Sarah, you've just confused your dead niece with my best friend. Sarah shook her head. I know that. I know that. I'm getting old. Oliver smiled. So just to clarify, I'm not dating a ghost? No, Lucy said. Although with this family, I wouldn't rule it out. For the first time in years, Sarah laughed properly. None of them realized that the innocent mistake had reopened a door to a past everyone had tried to keep closed. Because Ava wasn't just Lucy's friend. She was Claire Wilson's secret. And when Daniel discovered who Oliver had fallen in love with, the past came crashing back. Daniel Carter had always been good at hiding his fear. It was something Hannah noticed about him after 30 years of marriage. You do that thing, she said one evening. Daniel looked up from his tea. What thing? You go quiet. You pretend you're thinking about something ordinary, but you're actually somewhere else. Daniel smiled faintly. You know me too well. That's because I've spent half my life watching you. He looked towards the garden. Oliver's seeing someone. Hannah smiled. I know. He talks about her constantly. She's connected to Claire. The smile disappeared. What? Her name is Ava Wilson. Hannah stared at him. Wilson. Daniel nodded. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Hannah quietly said, Is she Claire's daughter? Daniel looked down. No, but you're worried she is. I don't know what she is. And that frightened him more than anything. Ava had always known there was something strange about her family history. Her mother had died when she was young, and she had been raised mostly by her aunt. But she remembered Claire. Not clearly, just pieces. A woman sitting beside a window. A woman crying over old photographs. A woman repeating one name, Daniel. Ava had never understood why, until Lucy finally told her. You need to know the truth. They sat together in Lucy's kitchen. You're connected to him. Ava frowned. Who? Daniel Carter. The room went quiet. Ava laughed nervously. That's impossible. No, it isn't. Lucy explained everything. About Claire. About Emily. About the obsession. About the years spent believing Daniel would return. Ava felt sick. So my family hates him? Lucy looked down. I don't think your family knows how to stop hurting. Ava swallowed. And Oliver? Lucy sighed. That's the problem. Oliver refused to listen. When Ava told him the truth, he expected anger. Instead, he simply held her hand. You should hate me. Why? Because my dad destroyed your family. Oliver shook his head. My dad made mistakes. That doesn't mean I did. Ava looked away. But everyone will think this is wrong. Let them. You don't understand. No, Ava. I understand exactly. He stepped closer. I spent my whole life watching my dad become a good man. I know he wasn't perfect when he was young. But I also know he loves me. Ava's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared. So am I. Then why are you staying? Because I've never been more certain about anything. Chapter 9. The family war. When Daniel found out Oliver knew everything, he was furious. You had no idea what you were getting involved in. Oliver stared at him. I know exactly. No, you don't. You abandoned a pregnant girl. Daniel went silent. The words hurt because they were true. I was 19. And she was 19 too. Daniel looked away. For years, he had convinced himself that because he was young, his choices mattered less. But Oliver's words forced him to see it differently. I was wrong, Daniel admitted. Oliver hadn't expected that. I spent years thinking I was the victim, Daniel continued. I thought Claire ruined my life. But I ruined hers too. The anger in Oliver softened. Then don't punish Ava for something that happened before she was born. Chapter 10. Claire's last secret. Sarah visited Claire at the hospital. Claire sat quietly by the window. For years she had lived inside a world that existed only in her memories. Sarah sat beside her. "There's something you need to know." Claire looked at her. "What?" "Daniel has a son." Claire smiled sadly. "I always knew he would. And that son is in love with Ava." The room went completely still. Claire's expression changed. "Ava?" "Yes." Claire whispered the name. For the first time in years, she looked frightened rather than angry. "She has his eyes." Sarah froze. "What did you say?" Claire looked confused. "Nothing." But Sarah knew. There were secrets Claire had never told anyone. Sarah began searching through old documents. Letters, photographs, medical records. Then she found something hidden. A letter written 20 years earlier. Not from Daniel. From Claire. The first line made Sarah's hands shake. "If anyone finds this, they need to know the truth about Ava." Sarah read the letter slowly, and with every sentence the past changed. Ava wasn't just connected to Claire. She was Claire's daughter. A daughter nobody knew existed. A daughter hidden away because Claire believed losing Daniel meant losing everything. Sarah sat down, unable to breathe, because if Ava was Claire's daughter, then Oliver wasn't just falling in love with the daughter of his father's enemy. He was falling in love with the sister of the woman he thought he had lost forever. And the truth was about to destroy them all. Chapter 12. The letter. Sarah read the letter 3 times before she could accept what she was seeing. The handwriting was unmistakably Claire's. "Sarah, if you are reading this, then I have finally lost the courage to tell the truth myself." Sarah's hands trembled. "When Daniel left, I thought my life had ended. I thought if I could just make him understand what he had done, everything would go back to the way it was. Then I found out I was pregnant again." Sarah stopped. Again. She continued reading. "I was terrified. I already had Emily, and I knew I wasn't well. I knew people would say I couldn't cope. I knew they would take my children away. So I made a choice I have regretted every day." Sarah covered her mouth. "No. I gave Ava to someone I trusted. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I would get better and bring her home. But years passed, and the more I lost control, the harder it became to admit what I had done." Sarah put the letter down. All this time, Ava had been living with unanswered questions, and Claire had been living with the guilt. Chapter 13. The truth comes out. The meeting happened at Sarah's house. Daniel came with Hannah. Oliver came with Ava. Nobody knew why Sarah had called them all together, until she placed the letter on the table. Daniel looked confused. "What is this?" Sarah looked at him. "The truth." Ava watched everyone carefully. She had always been good at noticing when people were hiding something. "What does it say?" Sarah looked at her. "It says Claire was your mother." The room went silent. Ava laughed once. Not because it was funny, because sometimes the mind rejected things that hurt too much. "No. I'm sorry." "No." Ava stood up. "You're wrong." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I wish I was." Ava looked at Daniel, then Oliver, then back at Sarah. "So all this time, everyone knew?" "No," Oliver said quickly. "I didn't. But you knew who my family was. I knew about Claire. I didn't know about you." Ava stepped away. She felt like the floor had disappeared. Daniel left the house and walked alone. Hannah found him sitting on a bench outside. "You need to stop punishing yourself." He looked at her. "Do I?" "Yes." "I left Claire." "Yes." "I hurt her." "Yes." Daniel looked surprised. Hannah sat beside him. "But you also spent 25 years trying to be better." "I can't undo it." "No." She looked at him. "But you can stop pretending you're the same man." Daniel looked back towards the house. "My son loves her." "I know. And her mother hated me." Hannah sighed. "She didn't hate you because you were special, Daniel." "What?" "She hated you because she couldn't let go." Daniel looked down. "And now Ava has to pay for that." Chapter 15. Ava's choice. Ava stayed with Lucy. She couldn't face Oliver. Not because she stopped loving him, because she loved him too much. Lucy found her sitting on the floor surrounded by old photographs. You know what hurts? What? I spent my whole life wondering why my mother didn't want me. Lucy sat beside her. She did want you. She gave me away. She was ill. Ava looked at her. Does that make it okay? Lucy hesitated. No, that honesty meant more than comfort. But it means you weren't unwanted. Ava wiped her tears. What am I supposed to do now? Lucy smiled sadly. You do what you've always done. What's that? Survive. 3 days passed before Oliver saw Ava again. He waited outside Lucy's house. When she opened the door, she looked exhausted. You shouldn't be here. I know. Oliver, I'm not leaving. Her expression hardened. You don't understand what this means. Yes, I do. No, you don't. He stepped closer. I understand that you're scared. You should be scared too. I am. That surprised her. I'm terrified. Oliver took a breath. But I love you. Ava looked away. You can't love me and hate what I come from. I don't. You should. No. His voice broke slightly. I spent my whole life believing my dad's past was something I had nothing to do with. He looked at her. And then I met you. Ava's eyes filled. And you made me realize people aren't their parents. Claire watched rain fall against the window. Sarah visited again. You told the truth. Claire nodded. She deserved to know. Sarah stared at her. Why now? Claire smiled faintly. Because I finally realized something. What? I spent my entire life trying to make Daniel remember me. She looked outside. But I forgot my own children needed me to remember them. Sarah sat quietly. For the first time in years, Claire wasn't talking about Daniel. She was talking about Emily, about Ava, about the daughters she had lost. And Sarah realized something heartbreaking. The obsession had never really been about love. It had been about grief. Chapter 18. A new beginning. Months later, Oliver and Ava stood together at Daniel and Hannah's house. Things were not perfect. They would never be. There were too many wounds, too many years lost. But there was honesty now. Daniel approached Ava. I don't expect you to forgive me. Ava looked at him. I don't know if I can. He nodded. That's fair. She studied him. But I don't want to hate you. Daniel swallowed. Thank you. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a beginning. Inside the house, Hannah laughed as Lucy complained about Sarah's terrible cooking. Sarah shouted back. I heard that. Everyone laughed. Even Ava. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't searching for where she belonged. Because she had finally found it. Not in the past, but in the people who chose her. And Oliver Carter had chosen her from the very beginning. Chapter 19. The woman who returned 2 years past. Life did not magically become easy. Ava still struggled with the fact that her childhood had been built around secrets. Oliver still struggled with the guilt of loving someone connected to his father's biggest regret. But they had built something real. They moved into a small house together. They argued about silly things, like whose turn it was to wash dishes, like Oliver leaving socks on the floor, like Ava pretending she hated romantic gestures while secretly keeping every handwritten note he left her. For the first time, Ava had something she had never had before, a normal life. Then Sarah received a phone call. Claire was being released. Sarah sat in her car outside the hospital for almost 20 minutes. She didn't know whether she was ready. Claire walked out slowly. She looked older, not just because of age, because years of anger had finally left her face. Sarah hugged her. Claire froze. Nobody had hugged her like that in years. I'm sorry, Claire whispered. Sarah held on tighter. For what? For everything. Claire's first question was not about Daniel. It shocked Sarah. How is Ava? Sarah looked at her carefully. You really want to know? Claire nodded. I spent years thinking about what Daniel did to me. Her voice cracked. But I forgot what I did to her. Sarah didn't answer, because that was the truth. Daniel didn't want to meet Claire. Hannah understood why. You don't owe her anything. I know. But, Daniel sighed. But I spent years angry at her. And now I just feel sad. So he agreed. They met in a quiet cafe. Claire looked nervous. Daniel had never seen her nervous before. I imagined this moment thousands of times, Claire said. And, she smiled sadly. It's nothing like I imagined. Daniel looked down. I'm sorry. Claire looked surprised. For leaving? Yes. For not coming back? Yes. For not seeing how badly you were struggling? Daniel paused. Yes. Claire looked at him. I wanted you to apologize for years. And now I realize an apology doesn't give me my life back. Daniel nodded. I know. They sat in silence. Two people who had spent decades blaming each other, finally understanding that they had both lost something. Claire had one more thing to tell Sarah. Something she had never admitted. Something that had haunted her. It was my fault. Sarah looked confused. What was? Emily. The room went cold. Sarah stared at her. Don't say that. I should have protected her. You loved her. I loved Daniel more. Sarah went silent. Claire cried. I hate that it's true. For years, Sarah had believed Claire's obsession began after Daniel left. But maybe it had started earlier. Maybe Claire had been chasing something she thought would fix all the things she couldn't face. Ava found out about Emily from Lucy. They sat together in the garden. She loved you, Lucy said. Ava looked down. She barely knew me. She did. How? Lucy smiled sadly. Because Emily spent her whole life protecting you. Ava looked shocked. She knew. She knew you existed. The truth came slowly. Emily had discovered the secret years earlier. She had found out Claire had another daughter. And instead of being angry, she had tried to find her. She wanted to meet you, Lucy whispered. Ava covered her face. Why didn't she? Lucy looked away. Because life doesn't always give people enough time. Claire met Ava on a rainy afternoon. Neither knew what to say. Finally Claire whispered, You look like I imagined you would. Ava forced a small smile. That's a strange thing to say. I know. Ava looked at her. Why did you leave me? Claire closed her eyes. Because there was no easy answer. Because I was ill. Ava waited. But that's not enough, is it? No. Claire nodded. No, it isn't. The honesty surprised Ava. I can't ask you to forgive me. Good. Claire looked hurt. Ava continued. Because I don't know if I can yet. Claire nodded. But I want to try. And that was the first gift Ava ever gave her. Not forgiveness. A chance. Everyone gathered for Oliver and Ava's wedding. Daniel stood beside Hannah watching his son. He looks happy, Hannah said. He does. You worried. Daniel smiled. I've spent my whole life worrying. About. That I would ruin everything I touched. Hannah squeezed his hand. But you didn't. Daniel looked at Ava laughing with Lucy and Sarah. No. He smiled. I finally learned how to stay. Across the garden, Claire watched her daughter. Not as something she had lost. Not as proof of her mistakes. But as a person. Ava caught her looking. For a moment, neither moved. Then Ava smiled. A small smile. But it was enough. Because some families are not healed by pretending the past never happened. They are healed by finally telling the truth. And after 25 years of secrets, lies, and heartbreak, the truth had finally set them free. Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you found this story interesting, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you want to hear plenty more stories just like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more to unpack in future videos. See you soon.